Well, that goes and it plays to the conversation about, being mindful is one of the ways to improve your focus and improve your attention, if you will. And we see that often is that being present, and I'm so guilty of not being present when I should be, but I often and intentionally bring myself back to being present. But it's actually it's intentional
Mhm.
to be mindful sometimes if I'm having and had a busy day, if I'm being distracted, if I've got my brain really rattling and going fast, it's hard for me to be mindful. And I notice that, and that's an observation. But these are things that in relationships and in, let's say, a business meeting or in even a social setting, where being mindful is noticing your surroundings, noticing what's going on around you, noticing how people are energetically, and can you actually observe that something maybe a little out of sync, or somebody may be really kind of fired up about something, are you, or excited about it, maybe they won't have some good news that they're just looking for the right spot to put it, and you got to give them the space to do that, because you can see energetically that that's what they're trying to do. But that's also awareness. So I think mindfulness, awareness, and I'm going to add one little twist in all of this, which is being thoughtful. And I
Mm.
don't think you can be thoughtful if you're not being mindful. That's just my theory that I made up in the moment, but that's
I
just
like it. I like it. You know what's really funny is that you've always accused me of having this crazy memory. And I know that it came from certain things, that I had to overcome when I was growing up. But ultimately, the only way I can have the memory that I have is that I'm present, fully present. People will say to me, I'll say something about a conversation that I'd had months ago or years ago with somebody, and they're like, "How do you remember that?" Like, I don't remember that. And it's not that it's a memory thing, it's just I believe it's the discipline, like you say, the habit of being really present to somebody when they're speaking. If you're present to somebody when they're speaking or sharing or communicating, and you're not thinking about what you want to say next, there is a presence and a way of being that allows that memory or whatever it is to kick in. And I think that is also like resilience. I think it's a trained skill. And to be present to somebody. And for me, I have, again, lots of different clients and lots of different industries and lots of different levels. But it's important to me to remember each person's situation, story, as much as I take notes, yes. But when you're present to something, I think it also activates your ability to remember. And I think people want to be seen and heard and have conversations that you've had with them remembered. It throws people off. It kind of freaks people out when I remember things. Um, but I'd like to invite that, or to help, to ask you about that. Like, you joke about my memory all the time.
Well, yeah, because you've got this crazy memory. It makes no sense to me how you remember some of the things that you remember. I mean, you're brilliant at remembering names, and that's part of your gift. I joke about you being my my hard drive, where I store data, because I can always go back to you to get the information because I don't remember it, whereas you do. So I don't know what to say about that, but ultimately, you've got a great memory. You certainly are present in conversations. Frequently and consistently, you are that way. I'm less frequently, less consistently that way. That's something that I certainly note. You are very mindful. I know in our relationship, you're very mindful, and that leads to how thoughtful you are in terms of how you and I communicate, but also how you look after me. And you do a brilliant job of looking after me. But I think that comes from you just being mindful, being aware of what I've got going on, and being thoughtful of what I've got happening, so that you can then step in to kind of fill the gaps, or to fill in what you see that I might need. And, this many years later, you do a pretty great job of that. So that comes from